Jai Hind all the students. Today I am going to cover the third lecture on unit number 1 from the subject performance and reward management. When we are talking about the performance management, the next step that comes in the performance management process is the performance appraisal. This is the most crucial, one of the important step that plays a significant role in the performance management process. Like while we go with the definition of it, it says that it is a structured formal interaction between a subordinate and supervisor that usually takes the form of a periodic interview, annual or semi-annual, in which the work performance of the subordinate is examined and discussed with a view to identifying the weaknesses and strengths as well as opportunities for improvement and skills development. Actually, it is a regular exercise for any kind of the organization, and it usually is conducted half yearly or annually in most of the organizations, in which the employees are called and their performances are discussed by their immediate bosses with them. So this is the most popular process. The companies like LG, Samsung, Sony, even any kind of the company like Dabur, Patanjali, everyone has their performance appraisal procedure. So this is the most common term in the HR. Now there are few objectives of the performance appraisal. Like the first is the performance review. Then the second is the identification of the training and development needs. Then setting the work objectives, employee performance counseling, then the career planning for the employees, and to decide about the remuneration and recognition of the employees. So these all are the objectives that are served by the performance appraisal system. Why performance appraisal is conducted? Actually, there are two purposes for which the performance appraisal is conducted. Number one is evaluative and number two is developmental. Like if you want to take the decisions on the increments in the salary for the employees, it is must that you should have some kind of a report as a boss. So that is the reason that performance appraisal is conducted. And then the various staffing decisions related to transfer, promotion, demotion also are based on the reports or on the performances of the employees, which are based on the performance appraisal formats. Then there can be the proper selection system with the use of the performance appraisal systems. So these all are the evaluative purposes where the employees are evaluated by the employer with the use of their previous performances, with the use of the performance appraisal formats that has been filled by the employees. Then there are certain developmental purpose also, like it is just to give the feedback to the employees that how they performed for the whole year, and then if there is any kind of the problem that is associated with the performance of any particular employee, to arrange for the training and development of that employee. That is also one of the developmental reason. Then it also provides the feedback and chances for improvement to the employees. So that's why there is a purpose to develop the employees, to evaluate the employees, and that is the reason that the performance appraisal is conducted in the organization. Now there may be the two types of the performance appraisal system. It may be close-ended and it may be open-ended. When we talk about close-ended, in this case, like whatever the review report has come, if an employee has done a task for the whole year and the company is conducting the performance appraisal annually, so the reports for that employee are collected from their immediate bosses, and the reports are really confidential. They are not discussed with the employees. And in case of open-ended performance appraisal systems, the employees are just evaluated, and whatever the reports in the form of performance has come, they are generally discussed by the management people with the employees. So like in this case, it is an open-ended procedure because the reports are discussed with the concerned employees. It includes two things, like it has a purpose of evaluation as well as development. For example, if an employee has not done good in one of his work area, so he needs to be improved in that particular area. So to provide training and development to that employee so he can just perform better in the future, that is the developmental reason. So open-ended just like empowers the employees, like it gives the chances to the employees so that they can just work on their problems, they can work on their areas in which they are weak. So that is the reason of the open-ended performance appraisal system. Then there can be two approaches to the performance appraisal. it can be administrative approach, and it can be developmental approach. While the management decides about promotion, termination, discipline, transfer, so all that kind of decisions are based on the previous performances of the employees. Even if the management has to take any decision in terms of reward and punishment, so that decisions may also be based on the previous performances of the employees. So that's why the first approach to the performance appraisal is to take the administrative decisions. It may also help in the human resource planning, the reward decisions, the promotions, and the personal research. Then the second important approach is the developmental approach. Like there may be the reasons that with which the employees are weak in certain areas, they are not performing well. So to provide proper training to the employees so that they can work on their weak areas and can improve themselves in that particular areas. So like the performance appraisals are conducted in the organization. It helps the employees to know about their strengths and weaknesses. It helps in the employees in their career planning and development. It provides inputs for personal remedial interventions also. So that is the reason, like these are the two approaches to the performance appraisal system. There are certain sources of performance appraisal. Number one is combination of group and individual appraisal. There may be the instances in the companies in which the whole team has performed and the management is evaluating the whole team as a whole. They are just they are evaluating the whole team in terms of their performances. So that may be the group appraisal. But sometimes it happens like one or two group members or the teammates have not performed well while others are really doing well. So in that case, individual appraisals are required. So there may be the group appraisal when the company is appraising the whole team or the whole project team. So that may be the group appraisal. But there may be the instances where the individual appraisals are conducted just to see the individual performance level of any particular employee. Then there may be the appraisal by superiors, like it has they have taken it as like the managers in the companies are in the better position just to evaluate the performances of the employees because they know better their people, those who are working under them, so they know better about them. So that's why there may be the appraisal by the superior also. But there are certain drawbacks related with this, like manager power to punish and reward employees. In this, the immediate boss sometimes may take the wrong decisions and can just take the punitive measures regarding their subordinates. So that is one problem. Like it is one way sometimes. So this is also one of the problem. Then the third source of performance appraisal can be the self-appraisal. In this technique, like the employees are given the formats and they have to fill it by their own. They have to just think about their strengths and weaknesses and accordingly they used to fill the form. There are very less chances of the distortions and the biases in this kind of the source, in this kind of the technique. And it is a self-initiated appraisal in which the employees got the opportunity where they think for the whole year what they have actually done and where they have lacked in their performances. So this is also one of the way in which the performances may be evaluated. Then the peer review. Peers may be known as the people, those who are your colleagues, those who are working with you. So in the case of the peer review, the performances of the candidates are evaluated by just talking to their peers, by just evaluating the performances, by asking the questions to the peer groups. So it can maybe called as like when your colleagues are just talking about you, they are giving the scores to you on their performances, on your performances. So this can also happen in the way in which the performance appraisal may be conducted. But there are certain shortcomings of it. If a person is of an introvert nature and the colleagues, they don't like that particular person, so maybe he can get the less score. So sometimes it may be called as a popularity contest. Like if you are popular, then you may have the great score. But if you are not so popular, not so popular in your group, maybe you can have the less of the score. So this is one of the disadvantage associated with this particular source. Then there may be the upward appraisals in which the immediate supervisors and the immediate bosses, those who are frequently dealing with the employees, frequently interacting with the employees, they used to just prepare the report of their subordinates. But there is again one of the drawback of it, like if the immediate boss is not happy with that subordinate, maybe he can be biased into his decisions. So that is one of the problem associated with the upward appraisal. Then comes multi-source assessment. It is same like the 360 degree, like wherever you are working, there are a lot of people, those who are associated with you. So your performances are evaluated by asking about you from all your peers, all the stakeholders in the company, the customers, the clients, the suppliers, even the family members, even the management, your immediate boss, supervisors, your subordinates, everybody, they used to ask the questions, and then accordingly they give the score. The good thing about this system is that because the feedback is coming from the multi sources, so there are very less chances of the biasness and the distortions. So that is one of the good thing related with this kind of the source. Then the next and the last maybe the benchmarking. Like there are a lot of the competitor organizations, those who are available into the market. So whenever the performances of all that organizations are taken as a benchmark, and the performances of the company are matched with the performances of that competitors, so the report on the performance of the company used to come. So that is also one of the way in which the performance of the whole company may be evaluated, by evaluating or by analyzing the performances of the competitors. So in total, there can be the 7 sources of the performance appraisal. Then the performance appraisal process, actually it includes few steps. Number 1 is establish performance standards or goals. Before like conducting any kind of the performance appraisal activity, it is must on the part of the manager that he should establish the performance standards or the goals. Then the second is the communicate performance expectations to the employees. Once you have set the target on each designation, now the second step comes as like whosoever is going to work on that particular designation, communicate the expectations to that particular employee. Like this is the expectation, these are the targets which we have set for you, you have to just complete your work in this particular deadline. So that is also very much mandatory for any organization to run the performance appraisal system smoothly. Then the third is to measure the actual performance. Once the employee has completed the target or has actually performed on that particular target, to measure his actual performance. And then number 4th is compare the actual performance with the standards. Whatever the standards that were set by the manager for that employee, they are actually compared with the actual performance. And if it is according to the mark, whatever was expected, the employee has performed really well accordingly. So in that case, the promotion decisions or the increment in the salary decisions may be taken by the management. So in next step, like the employees are called by the superiors, or like the staff members are called by the staff, and their performances are discussed and reviewed by the like management with the staff members, by the employer with the employees, and they try to just communicate to them about their performances. Like performance reviews are done under this, and wherever the employee was not good and he didn't perform well, so in this case the employees are just counseled on their weak areas, and the corrective actions in step number 6, it is written like the corrective actions are also taken on that. For example, if the employee is saying, sir, I feel weak in one of the software that is used by my company, so in that case like the boss may provide or may arrange a kind of a training in that particular software for that employee. So these kind of the corrective actions are taken by the management for the employees. So this increases the confidence in the employees, and the next year they may perform better in their weak areas also. So that is the objective behind the step number 6. So in total, there are total 6 steps in the performance appraisal process. Now there are certain advantages of the PA system, like it provides a record of performance over a period of time. It provides an opportunity for a manager to meet and discuss performance. It provides the employee with a feedback about their performance. It provides an opportunity for an employee to discuss issues and to clarify expectations. It can work as a motivational tool for the employees, because once they have performed well, they are getting the rewards for it, and their compensation is also accordingly. So that's why it is somehow kind of a good system in which the employees feel good. But there are certain disadvantages also related with the performance appraisal system. It has been observed that in the case of the organizations in which it is not done properly, it may be the negative experience. Sometimes it is very time consuming. There may be the rating errors and the biases. If not done right, can be a complete waste of time. And sometimes it seems as a stressful kind of an exercise or an activity for the employees. So these all are the disadvantages. There are certain common rating errors which are related with the performance appraisal systems. The following are the common rating errors. Number one is the halo effect. For one particular positive aspect of the employees, all other features of the employees are just considered accordingly. Like want to say here, like when a particular aspect of an employee performance influences the evaluation of the entire performance of the employee, it is called as halo effect. For example, if the employee is highly sincere towards his duties related with a particular area, because he is sincere in that particular area, so for all other areas the management has taken as like he is good into that also. So this is the first common rating error. Then horn effect, if he has done something wrong, for that negative aspect all other things are evaluated on the basis of that negative aspect. So this may be called as the horn effect. Like one of your like wrong action has influenced your whole performance, so this may be the horn effect. Then central tendency, in this all the employees are rated as average instead of outstanding performance and the below average performance. Like this is also wrong on the part of the management, that they used to evaluate all the employees like all the average employees they used to take, and they do not consider any outstanding performance or the below average performances. Then there may be strict rating, like the employer is very strict in his judgment and overly harsh to his employees, and he is judging the employees very in a very strict mode and not considering any kind of the psychological aspects. So this is also one of the rating error. Then lenient, here it is opposite to the strict rating. The employer is lenient and he is not taking the things seriously, and generously he is giving the good scores to all the employees. Then status effect, it includes the people those who are working on the higher level jobs are overrated by the people, by their superiors, but the people those who are working on the lower level jobs, they are underrated by their bosses. So this may be the status effect. This again is a common rating error. Then spillover effect, it takes place when past performance appraisal ratings unjustifiably influence current ratings. For example, you did wrong in the last year, so that kind of the performance still is going with you, and even if you have done a great work in the current year, your performance is not based on the current year. They have taken the spillover effect. They are just taking your performance based on the past year. So this is somehow wrong. Then initial impression, if the employee's initial impression is wrong, maybe that his performance for the whole year may be taken accordingly. So this is the impression what you have put on the management on your very first meeting. So this is again wrong. The latest behavior, like if the employee latest behavior is good, so the whole performance of the year would be influenced by that latest behavior, or maybe vice versa. So this again may be the rating error. Then same as me, I am Agarwal, she is also Agarwal. I am good in writing, she is good in writing. I am so good, she is also good. I am like that, she is like that. So in that case, the supervisors are biased, and if they take the people as like they are same as like me, they give the highest score to that particular employees. But again, this is the rating error. One should not go with this kind of the thing. Different from me, I am not so I am not like him, मैं उसके जैसा नहीं हूँ. Like the person is taking it as like the employee is not good in writing skills like me, the person is not good in communication skills like me. I can do it really well, but he doesn't know that how to run this software. So whenever the people take and compare themselves with the employees, so they usually found them bad in their performances, and they provide the lowest grades to them. So this again may be the rating error and should not happen in any organization. Then performance factor order, when two or more dimensions on a performance instrument follow or closely follow each other, and the both seems to be of a similar quality, the rater rates the first dimension accurately and then rates the second dimension similar to the first because of their proximity. So this again may be the wrong thing. Then the contrast effect, the error takes effect when an employee performance appraisal get unjustifiably influenced by the difference in certain behavioral characteristic or traits between the employee and the appraiser. Like they used to contrast, they used to just compare their own traits with the employee traits, and usually they give the low grades to the employees. So this is again not good, not into the favor of the employees. Then at last, it is the sympathy effect. When somebody is just looking with the sympathy towards the employees, even the employee has not done great, he was not a good performer for the whole year, but the management has given a good score because of that sympathetic effect. So again, it is a rating error and should not happen. Then the next important function, the third step that comes into the performance management system, is the performance managing. The performance managing includes managing the people and the performance. Like first, once the performance planning has been done, now the next important thing comes as to manage the whole performance, to manage the whole plans, whatever has been made by the management. There are certain characteristics of the performance managing. It seeks to realize performance planning within the framework of business plans of the organization. It is actually the operational activity. You have planned, now the time has come when that plan should be operational. So whenever the operational aspects comes, the term performance managing comes. So it is always involved or associated with the operational aspects of the planning. It helps to keep a check on employee performance so as to keep them aligned to the objectives and strategies of the organization. Like one good thing about the PMS system is that in case of performance management system, the performances of the employees are evaluated not in 6 months or not in 1 year. They are continuously evaluated for the whole year, and they used to just be informed about their performances time to time by their immediate supervisors. For example, if I am associated with this organization and my immediate supervisor is guiding me at every step, after 1 week, after 2 weeks, somebody is guiding me that, madam, you are wrong here, you are right here. So that may be called as the performance managing, and it gives me a good kind of a confidence in which I used to know that where what are my strengthened points and what are my weak points. So that is one of the good operational aspect of the performance management system. It facilitates employees to improve their performance, as I told you, because if somebody is giving the feedback to you every month or every week, so it facilitates you to just improve on yourself. Like if you are weak in some area, you can just improve yourself there. And even it develops an analytical insight among employees to look at their efforts. Like we got to know after every week, like we can analyze our own performances based on the reports of our supervisors, whether we are good or whether we are not so good in a particular aspect or in a particular area. Now, there are the objectives of the performance managing. It helps in defining the mutual expectations of the managers. You can imagine, like if your manager is calling you after every week or after every month, and he is discussing face to face with you all his expectations, and even you are also discussing your expectations with your managers, so maybe it can work for both of you. It may maintain good relationship in between the employer and the employee inside the organization. So that is the first objective of the performance managing. The second is actualizing the performance plans of all the employees. It is not one-time activity. Like you have made a schedule and it is on the paper now, it is into the file and that's all over. It's not like that. Once your boss has set the target for you, they are just recalling you. They are just discussing that with you in every week time or in a month time. So that is one of the good aspect of the performance managing system. Then analyzing the ongoing efforts of the employees. Even you are getting your reports, your feedback every week, every month. Somebody is telling you that where you were good, where you were bad. So that is also one of the aspect, one of the objective of the performance managing. Your relationships can also be good into the organization. Like you are getting the continuous feedback on your work, even you are discussing your problems with your bosses. So that may result into the good and harmonious relationship inside the organization. Then keeping employees focused on their performance objectives and standards. You are always focused because somebody is supervising you, has an eye on your performance. So that's why you always feel focused. Then creating challenging and satisfying developmental plans. So sometimes it is a challenge also, like somebody has created a target for me and I have to achieve it, and even I will get the feedback for me. after every week or after every month. So sometimes it seems as a challenge also, and we are trying to satisfy the supervisors, and wherever we are weak, we got to have the training on that particular weak area. So that is the good thing about the performance managing. It is a process of the performance managing. First, analyze the performances of the employees, call them, reinforce the right efforts wherever they are wrong, counsel them, try to check their performances, tell them that what they have done wrong, what they have done right. Then the third point is removing performance deficiencies. There may be the deficiency in the performance, and there may be various reasons because of that. There may be the personal problems of the employees. For example, the employee is not competent enough, not so committed, the role is not clear. Here the work of the supervisor counts. So he should just counsel the employee. Like if he is not competent, he should arrange some kind of training for that employee. If he is not committed, so he needs proper like counseling on that particular aspect. If the role is not clear to the employee, again the like superior should come into the picture and should just clarify the role to that particular employee. There may be the organizational problems also. He has no facility of like the computer system, even there is no printer, like, so he can just share all that problems with the boss, and it is a duty of then the boss that he should arrange that kind of the all the resources to that particular employee. Then at last, improvement plans. Like again, the employee needs improvement in some areas, so the management tries to just counsel him, provide him the proper training facilities so that he can improve on his work area. So these all are the 4 steps of the performance managing. Like when the performances of the employees are evaluated and managed, so they are told to just review their performances by their own also, and they used to write 2 kind of the factors in their diaries or in this prescribed formats. They are named as facilitating factors and inhibiting factors. While the employee is performing his duties, there may be the factors that help him in performing his duties well, so that may be called as the facilitating factors. But there may be the factors, those who were the hurdles, those who created the hurdles in his performance, that kind of factors may be called as the inhibiting factors. So the employees are told to use some certain formats, and in that formats they usually write about all the facilitating factors and inhibiting factors that they observed and faced while they were performing their duties. So this is somehow that how the performance management like works in any organization. Facilitating and inhibiting factors can be attributed to personal or individual, reporting officer, organization and its system, subordinates, and external environment. For details of this, we will just discuss in our next lectures. We will discuss in detail about the facilitating and the inhibiting factors. So this is one of the diagram related with performance managing. First planning, then managing, then analyzing the performance, reinforcing the right efforts, then removing the performance deficiencies, and at last it is the improvement plan. The last important topic is the performance monitoring. This is the 4th important step that comes into the performance management process. It is like the performance monitoring, when we talk, it is the process of promoting a climate of continuous learning and development. Okay, you have made a system. Now it's your duty to continuously evaluate, to check, like whatever the system as a HR manager I have made as a PMS, whether it is workable or not, whether it is working properly or not, whether the people are following it or not, whether it needs any kind of a change, whether it needs any kind of the other aspect that should be added or included into it. So this is called as performance monitoring. There are certain characteristics of the performance monitoring. It is an aftermath activity. Then it is a tool to keep employee performance focused as required by the objectives. It provides opportunities to employees to correct performance regularly. Their performances are monitored by their bosses. So it gives them the opportunity that they can correct themselves wherever they are weak or they are wrong. It provides the training and development opportunities to the employees. It facilitates career development of employees, and it strengthens the relationship also. Like following are the objectives of the performance monitoring. It provides learning, training and development opportunities. It improves the individual job performance. It reviews the ways of defining and agreeing of performance criteria of teams and individual employees. It helps in the assessment of commitment and motivational level of the employees. It helps in incorporating the change necessitated by the external environment. So these are the objectives of the performance monitoring. This is one of the model which is very much popular in the performance management, in the performance monitoring systems. It includes total 7 steps. Number 1 is establish the transformation improvement process management and cultural environment. Then it is the first step which is very much required by any organization. Then define the mission. Then set the performance improvement goals for the whole organization, all the employees. Then establish the improvement projects and action plans. Then implement projects with performance tools and methodologies. Then evaluate the performances of the employees, review their performances, and then recycle and then again restart from the next year. So this is one of the improvement model that may be utilized by any organization, just to have a continuous watch on the performance management system what they are implementing inside their organizational setup. So the last is the importance of the performance monitoring. It provides scope for modification. It is not like that, like if you have made a system, it is like now the final one and you have to go with it for the next 10 years. It is nothing like that. It may be modified according to the needs of the environment, according to the changes in the environment. Right now it is Corona that is going on. So that's why again I would say here, like there may be the need to change the previous PMS system. So the organizations are flexible in their approach and they have all the chances that they can monitor their performance management systems and they can modify according to the needs of the environment. It helps in reviewing and correcting the performance objectives. It identifies areas for competency improvement. The ways in which you are just assessing the performances of the employees may be outdated. So it may need the continuous modification, continuous watch, continuous review, and continuous checking. So it is the performance monitoring that provides this kind of the facility to the PMS system. It continuously enhances the performances of the employees. So these all are the few significant reasons that why performance monitoring is good. The process is identify gaps in performance plan and demonstration. Whatever the plans I made, it is like the review of all that plans, whether they actually worked, the KRA, KPI, whatever I set at the start of the year, whether the whole year they run properly or not, whether the demonstration was according to my plans or not. That is the first thing. Then discuss, provide feedback and develop improvement plan. If you found discrepancy in any particular area, so you can provide the feedback to the concerned department and can discuss the improvement plan also. And seek employee commitment and verify for adherence. Like the third step is to just seek the employee commitment and just to verify them for their adherence to the process whatever you have set for them. So this is one of the diagram that shows the performance monitoring process and the steps. This includes all that steps as I have discussed already with you. Then the next and the last is the performance management audit. It is a process to continuously evaluate the worthiness of existing performance management system, keeping in view external and internal changes within the organization and its business strategy. Actually, this kind of exercise is usually conducted by the external consultant and experts. They used to examine your performance management process. They used to check whatever the system you have made, it is according to the principles, policies and practices that are prevalent in the market or not. They used to check whatever you designed, whether it was only on the paper or whether it was followed during the whole year. They used to check whatever you have given on the papers, whether actually the people understand it properly or not, whether they are just utilizing it according to the requirements or not. So that kind of the audits are usually conducted by the external consultants and the experts, outside experts, and they used to give the reports on the performance management systems of the company. And even they are also necessary just to check whether the present performance management system needs any kind of modification, alteration or anything else. So that's why the performance management audit is significant for any kind of the organizational setup. So here we have completed the whole unit number 1 on the performance management system. The crux of the unit was that, like, it was including all the important 4 steps of the performance management process. The first, that was the performance planning, in which I discussed with you the KRA, KPI, KSA and all. And then the second was the performance appraisal. The third was performance managing. And the fourth step that we discussed was the performance monitoring. So that's all. This has covered the whole thing about the PMS system and the process. And then we will, in our next lecture, we will continue with our unit number 2. Thank you.